Blade, and I am the editor, creator, and producer of what you're watching right now, Blade Talk. If you are new here, welcome, and you found this presentation helpful, informative, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, do me an even greater favor, and subscribe to my channel. I always appreciate all the support that I am given. So we all know about the Jewish state of Israel, right? Some of us even know the date that it became a Jewish state in the modern era. But what if I told you that there were other attempts at a Jewish state that ultimately failed before Israel became a state in the modern era? Would you believe me? Let's take a look at what could have been a possibility of a Jewish state. Let's hit that intro and let's begin. Alright, so again, you've probably heard of the Jewish state of Israel. But the fact is that before the Jewish state of Israel, the modern Jewish state of Israel, there were 5 or 6 other places that we attempted to call home for Jewish people. And I want to go over a couple of them and why essentially it didn't work out. The first attempt at a Jewish state since our exile was in the ancient kingdoms. Let's take it back to 1st century Babylonia, where trouble was brewing as local leaders weren't doing their jobs. 2 Jewish brothers named Ananias and Asanias took matters into their own hands. Backed by a group of young Jews, the brothers started seizing control of towns and demanding tribute. Now you would think that they would get in trouble with the king for doing this. Well, as I stated, local leaders weren't doing their jobs, and the king decided to support the brothers to send a powerful message to his rebellious governors. He officially appointed the brothers to rulers of all the territory they conquered. Everything changed when the new general came to town because he had a wife and Ananias liked her. So almost similar to another story that we find in the Torah, Ananias sent the general into battle where he got killed so he could marry his wife. Sound familiar? They encountered a problem though. Aside from the fact that the marriage was based on murder, his wife wasn't Jewish. In fact, she was an idol worshiper. The Jews living in the territory wasn't excited at all about this turn of affairs, no pun intended. Asanias himself was pretty disappointed in his brother. He pointed out that paganism was a no-no in Judaism, and for that, his new sister-in-law poisoned him, ultimately killing him. It went downhill from there. Ananias tried to keep the kingdoms together, but eventually the Babylonians captured and killed him. So there went that attempt at a Jewish state. Let's look at another one. Ararat, New York. With its countless synagogues and kosher bagel shops on almost every other street corner, New York can sometimes feel like a Jewish state. But did you know there was once an official Jewish state there too? In 1825, Mordecai Manuel Noah bought a small island just south of Niagara Falls and declared it a Jewish refuge. Noah was a proud American who was very much into the idea that America was a safe haven. He was also a proud Jew and saw it as his personal mission to stand up for his fellow Jews worldwide. He heard about Jews being attacked in Europe, and he was convinced he could be the Jewish savior. He tried his best to convince Jewish merchants, bankers, and farmers to leave Europe and come to his new promised land. After 5 years, he had enough money to bring his vision to life. The island couldn't hold any more than 20,000 people. But Noah was a dreamer. He appointed community leaders in Europe to collect taxes from Jews worldwide. He dreamed of building skyscrapers that could fit millions of Jews. He even dubbed his self-declared Jewish homeland Ararat, a reference to the mountain where Noah's Ark landed, and of course a nod to his own last name. Mordecai held an elaborate founding ceremony for Ararat, firing cannons and getting all dressed up. The problem? Well, the flocks of Jews never came. The German Jewish population realized that Ararat was just a far-off dream. Opposing politicians suspected Mordecai of trying to swindle European Jews. Rabbis worldwide mocked him as a false messiah. American Jews, desperate to try to assimilate at that time, saw no need for a homeland in America they had already come to consider home. Eventually, a wealthy investor bought Noah's share of the land, and it became a small town of 18,000 people. So, that was another attempt at a Jewish home. The problem was were you really going to invest in something that you've never seen, and you hear whispers that this is a scam just to make another Jew rich? And again, the people in America, the Jews in America, felt at home where they were at that time. So they weren't thinking about establishing their own piece of land just for themselves. Now let's look at Uganda. The pressure to create a Jewish homeland reached its peak in early 1900s. A series of violent attacks against Russian Jews left millions terrified and desperate for an escape. At the time, Theodor Herzl's dream of a Jewish state and the ancestral homeland of Israel was catching fire. But it wasn't happening quick enough. The Ottoman Turks were in charge of the region at that time, and they weren't too excited about a Zionist demand for a Jewish homeland, but Jews needed a place to escape, and fast. Desperate to secure a temporary refuge for Jews, Zionist leaders turned to the world superpowers for help. England. Enter the Uganda Plan. The British had been trying to develop territory in East Africa, but no one was really interested. The British leaders offered it to Herzl. It wasn't the land of Israel, but at least it was a place where Jews could live in peace, and maybe it was enough for now. Zionist leaders had multiple opinions about this plan. Some felt that accepting the Uganda plan would sabotage the plan at establishing a Jewish state in the land of Israel. Not to mention that the land was dangerous, filled with lions and all sorts of wild animals. Aside from this, the native Maasai people weren't too excited about the possibility of foreign settlers streaming in. On the other hand, what other option did the Jewish people have at that time? It was a matter of life and death. After a lot of debate, the Zionists turned down the proposal. It was the land of Israel or bust. If they had to wait longer for that dream to come true, then they would wait. There was a couple other examples of an attempt of Jewish states, but these were in the mid 1940s. We had Poland, we had Madagascar, but as the Nazis rose to power, the idea of a Jewish homeland wasn't on their agenda, and as history accounts, they had other plans for Jews at that time. As it turns out, the only people that should be creating a Jewish state are Jews ourselves. There is one place where the effort actually stuck, and that is because it is the only place we've longed for through the millennia. The only place we direct our prayers, the only place where land is filled with ancient Jewish artifacts. That place is Israel, and it is the only Jewish homeland that we need. I want to take a moment to discuss what has happened in our Jewish homeland just yesterday, as of the recording of this presentation. Hezbollah just fired 30 projectiles from Lebanon into Israel, killing 44 people and 12 children. I stated before that if Hezbollah gets involved, the leash that is controlling Israel will be cut off. We will no longer have debates on Palestine being free or this idea of a ceasefire. If Israel has to fight a war on its southern border and its northern border, all bets are off, and it's going to have to activate its superior air force. Of course, we will all have to wait and see what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu does, but my heart and my condolences goes out to the family, the victims of the deceased that were killed in this tragic, horrible act of terror. Again, Hezbollah has about 100 to 200,000 rockets aimed at Israel as I speak here today. America has warned Hezbollah countless times not to get involved. And now, with them killing Israeli citizens, again, 12 are children. It's up to Israel how they choose to respond. And if they do respond, and again, Israel has to fight a war on both fronts, it won't matter about Palestine being free. It won't matter about humanitarian aid getting in. Israel will be fully unleashed. Well, I'll have to wait and see what happens. So, if you found this presentation helpful and informative, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. Do me an even greater favor and subscribe to my channel. I always appreciate all the support that I am given. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Blade Talk. Be good to yourselves, be good to others, and until next Sunday, you all take care. Shavua Tov.